Hey, Murray,
Yes.
you joined our wonderful family. Tell us how you came into the picture, your feelings, and some of your past.
First, I'll give my name, Murray B. Elman, B for Bernard, and in Yiddish, it's Moshe Ben Yosef. My father was Joseph Elman. My mother, Elizabeth Coopersmith. And
What year were you born?
I was born March 20th, 1916, which puts me a little ahead of the former.
Respect your elders, remember.
The rest of us.
However, as you can see, that I have been very fortunate to maintain not youth, but a pretty good physical, I think that being, which I owe to my dad. He also was very young and looking and physically very well disposed. I came into this family about 8.5 years ago. We celebrated our wedding anniversary May 5th of this year, 1989. 7 years of married bliss, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I remember meeting Al during the time that I believe we were engaged at the time, and I mentioned this little incident earlier today at his birthday party. We strolled along the path at Boca Point. Al, do you remember?
Oh, absolutely.
Really? And I said, Al, I don't know whether I really belong here. And he said, well, why do you say that? I said, well, when I entered into Edna's apartment at Boca Point, in our very early relationship, either the first or second date, I saw Victor's picture in the living room where it belonged, rightly so. And I said, Al, a man is an Adonis. I don't know what I'm doing here. And Al said, it'll be all right. You just be yourself. You recall?
Absolutely.
I hope I'm using the right word.
You're
And he
absolutely
said,
right.
and you'll get along fine. And evidently it worked that way. My desire, and that's always been from the day that I met Edna, is her happiness, truly. And when she's happy, I'm happy.
You're doing this for posterity.
Pardon?
I said you're making these comments for posterity, and you better.
Well, they're
But
true. They're true.
But I think they want to know more.
Let's hear a
Now
little bit
we'll
more.
go
That's very
into-
nice to hear. Let's hear a little bit more about
Your family
Yes,
background.
Now we'll go into the background. My dad, Joseph Elman, E-L-M-A-N, was born in an area between Turkey and Romania, and somehow or other Bessarabia came into the into the name of the area. But as it happened in those times, one year it could belong to Turkey, the next year to Romania, back and forth, year after year. So they never knew where they actually came from. And he and his younger sister were orphaned at a very early age and sent to an uncle of his in Constantinople, which is now Istanbul. and they grew up there. And he came to the States, I think he was about 15 years of age, and joined a group of fellow immigrants, as they did in those days. And they formed sick benefit associations. I think all of the young Jewish immigrant young men had that. This was their social life. And went to school here, took drafting courses, and went into tinsmith and roofing, sheet metal work, drawing. He needed the drafting education for that, and became successful because fortunately we were always well cared for, lived well, never experienced some of the things that I have heard here
You've heard
tonight.
tonight. You mean your sister didn't live under the kitchen sink like my father's?
We always
I didn't even
lived,
mention.
we always lived in the upper middle.
That's how they could pay for music lessons.
That's right. Tell
Uh,
them about you being a musician too.
Well, at the 14 years of age, I got into a desire to become a musician. And at those years, you either played trumpet, sax, drums, because the violin was taken up mostly by girls at that time. And so he took me down to the Bowery in New York, and a music store called Silver and Holland, and he bought me a saxophone. And it was the greatest thing that I could have ever had, because I still play today, and I still have that original instrument.
But what did you do for a career?
And I'm coming to that. That's very interesting. In my senior year in high school, I came to my folks and I said, I want to become a music teacher in high school of New York City, and I want to take advantage of a new what would you call it? A new section of music where you are strictly an instrumental teacher. You don't teach choral, you don't teach any of the other related subjects other than instruments, and so that you become versed in the strings, reeds, and brass. And when they heard this, they said, very nice, but we don't want you to be a musician all your life. We would like you to be, quote, a doctor. A doctor of what? That I don't want medicine because I don't want the difficulty of treating ill people all my life. Well, the next rung would be dentistry. And I said, oh yes, dentistry would interest me because I like to do things with my hand. And so I was matriculated in college as in pre-dental at NYU, and graduated from their dental school in 1940. And so I loved dentistry. I loved what I did. People would say, you like dentistry? Yes, I did. And I was very fortunately successful with it.
Tell us about your mother.
My mother, Elizabeth Cooper Smith, was born in Romania, Bucharest, came to the States as a young girl with her parents and 4 sisters. Went to high school here, graduated, and then, like all the other girls, went to work and married my father at an age, she must have been in her 18, 19 years of age, and had a very I have 2 daughters. One is a middle school and elementary school teacher in Hauppauge, Long Island. And in addition to that, being a elementary teacher, she's certified in middle school and elementary French at Judy. And Judy Swingross. Elizabeth Sullivan is has her MBA in accounting and is assistant to the controller of a construction firm in Florida. These are my children.
And your wife?
My wife, Rosalind, is a very sweet girl who unfortunately had a long illness and passed away a year and a half before I met Edna. We had lived on the island, Long Island, and I left, and I had my office in an area, about an hour and a quarter out of Midtown Manhattan, out on Long Island. And when she really became too ill to sustain herself in the rigorous weather up there in that area during the winters, we moved to Florida, and fortunately she came and added 8 years, which in my mind, I believe, because we went to a more moderate climate. And that's about it at this moment.
Lori, what would you like to, you'd have taken on the role of another grandparent or the grandchildren. What message would you like to send to them?
Well, they've enriched my life tremendously. I mean, it isn't very often the guy gets a second chance, because I do have grandchildren of my own, Lisa and Joelle. They are Judy's children. Lisa is a CPA, and she works in the HBO International office, and Joelle is going for her master's in elementary ed in New York.
So what message would you like to tell all the grandchildren?
All of them, that I'm proud of them. I love each and every one of them, and every day especially with the young ones, it's a new awakening. It takes me back so many years to experiences and things that I remember that occurred 20 and 25 years ago with my own children. And it's a fantastic feeling. And I think it keeps one young and aware of what's going on, because you don't want to close your eyes to that and miss one word. They're wonderful, just wonderful. I've been blessed, and to be repetitious, very few people get a second chance in life, and I've got it.